everybody. This is Darren Dunlap with the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber. Welcome to our next episode of Video Member Spotlight. And today I am very, very honored to welcome Derek Lapointe, who's the president and CEO of Downtown Moorhead Incorporated. Derek, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Darren. I'm glad to be here and glad to share some of our story.
You know, Derek, it's been a very exciting time for Moorhead, and I know that you've been in the news with the bonding bill that has been just recently passed in Minnesota on the 11th Street underpass. 21st Street is nearing completion, but you are also making a presentation to the Moorhead City Council about the plans of DMI to improve downtown Moorhead, and that's why we're here. So why don't you give us a brief overview about downtown Moorhead, and then also give us a little bit of an idea about the plan that you have in place.
Absolutely. Well, we're really excited. We have Downtown Moorhead Inc. We formed in 2018. It was really a mix of a lot of private entities within Moorhead, the public institutions, our college presidents, RDO, Sanford, Eventide, Shields, a lot of folks that came together and said, you know what, we need to focus on downtown Moorhead. We need somebody that has an eye that can kind of help us push through and see some growth and development, especially since we've seen so much activity over on the Fargo side and a lot of the great work that's been done there. So ultimately, I joined the team in 2018. I was the first staff member. And one of the goals that we set early on was that we needed to create a downtown master plan. We needed to create a vision that could help guide us for years to come. And this plan that we're announcing here on Monday, December 14th is the final plan, the document, the downtown master plan, 15 months in the making. It was grassroots from the start. We had in-depth public engagement. We actually had unprecedented numbers of engagement with hundreds of people attending events. We had 700 people participate in an online survey, which was numbers that we've never really had seen in this area. So this is really built on the foundation of the public, the business owners, the residents of downtown, the residents of the community, of really what they want to see and how they want to be proud of their downtown again. And it's exciting. There's a lot of great work in there. We've seen changes over the last couple of years, which is something that we're very proud of. But we know there can be more to be accomplished, and thankfully the partnership that our organization, Downtown Moorhead Inc., has had with the city of Moorhead has really been spectacular. We have a contract. In early 2018, we entered a contract with the city of Moorhead to do economic development services. So we are, in fact, the kind of economic development arm of the city for the entire city of Moorhead, not just downtown. And that has also helped with building trust with our development partners, our business partners across this region to bring some credibility back to Moorhead and ultimately some business growth that we've seen.
You know, Derek, I think it's very interesting that, you know, we're talking about downtown Moorhead renovation going forward, but there has been a lot that has already been accomplished. So I guess this question is twofold. So can you give us, can you dangle a carrot in front of us a little bit and tell us about what is going to be coming? But also, I think it would be important for us to discuss, you know, what already has been put into place. So if you would touch on those two, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're extremely proud of what has happened. We could have never imagined that we've seen so much success in such a short order. The fact that we've had developers and businesses take some pride in our process, be the early adopters, as Acting City Manager Dan Mully has always said. These early adopters that are taking a chance on Moorhead are people that we really build our foundation on. So we have the Block E building, which Eventide has their headquarters, with Ushers Restaurants, which Ushers is looking to kind of reinvent themselves. They will be back open. We've also had reinvestment on Center Avenue with Kevin Bartram's project, significant investment with the former Simon Warehouse building, the old Armory in our downtown, as well as Kevin Bartram's done some great work on Main Avenue. So you're seeing mix of uses, not just commercial property, but we're also seeing housing being added to this area. What I'm really kind of excited to see is we're building off of kind of some funky kind of businesses that have existed that have really been the catalyst for downtown for such a long time, being Junkyard on the very far eastern edge of our downtown. And now we're starting to see pieces kind of connect Junkyard to the core of downtown. You're seeing the Van A project where Epic is adding some investment. And then going back down Center Avenue, and we're seeing the event spaces, River Haven take place. The Wright building, which was, for those that don't know what the Wright building is, this is kind of across the street from Mick's office. And that building, when I first started in 2018, had a hole in the roof. There was pigeons flying out of it. The windows were boarded up, and if they weren't boarded up, there was no glass in there. You could just see right through the building. And now we have significant investment into that building. You have Swing Barrel Brewing that's doing a great job. Even opening during the hardship of a pandemic, they're doing a great job in surviving. And we have 4 new businesses that were built onto the back of that building too. So fantastic investment that we've seen so far. Now this plan really kind of helps guide us for the future. This is a plan that sets a vision for the next 10 to 15 years. We're looking at opportunity areas. So that could be along the riverfront, is where we see a ton of opportunity for downtown Moorhead. We also see the Moorhead Center Mall as being an opportunity. We've had lots of conversations with the existing ownership, as well as we have an agreement with the Roars Development Group. And we're looking at how we can reinvent this Moorhead Center Mall space. That was so much of the conversation that we've had through this process is, what are you going to do with the mall? Well, the mall is much more complicated than just saying, let's do something. There's lots of different owners. The city has ownership in it as well. But we're trying to look at this holistically, seeing if we can really make some strides to make this the epicenter of our downtown, create vibrant and active uses, mixed uses, get more people down here that can really sustain business growth. One of the main staples of this plan is looking at housing density. We want to create within a 5-minute walk, and let's just say from the Yum-Comp Center to Block E. So that kind of make your imaginary circle kind of bubble around that all the way to Third Drop Coffee. We want 1,000 housing units within that circle area. We need to support our business density, and we just don't have enough people to do that yet. So we think by adding enough housing units, we can create that core density, that critical capacity to not only sustain our businesses that are here, which is very, very important, but also attract new, which is what we're always trying to accomplish, is build our tax base and build our business base here in Moorhead.
Derek, of course, whenever there's a major project like this, it all comes down to funding. So everybody's always going to go, well, I think it's a great idea, but how's it going to be paid for? So how about that? Let's get that right out of the way here. So let's talk about funding of this massive project.
Yeah, you got to love the money questions. So, but it all comes back to it. You're right. Everything does take money. I'm excited to say that the plan itself, the document that we're talking about, was a public-private partnership between Downtown Moorhead Inc. and the city. So there was shared costs through that, which I'll say is a rarity in most developments of these types of plans. Usually they're 100% city funded. Where in our case, Downtown Moorhead Inc. put in equity into this plan because we felt it was important to have a private entity, a nonprofit in Downtown Moorhead Inc. lead this effort with partnership with the city, because we can build trust, we can have conversations that sometimes city officials can't have. So we were able to get, I think, really honest and raw feedback. We were able to go to areas that sometimes public officials can't go. We were on campus, we were talking to students, we were in events. I think gave us the flexibility and really kind of built up that public engagement that we're so proud of. So the plan itself, again, public-private partnership, moving forward and some of the key initiatives and what we outline in the plan itself, it really varies because we have, large underpass project that you mentioned earlier with 11th Street that certainly has state, federal, and local ties to it. But we also have small projects like parking management. Who can continue to do analysis of our downtown to provide input to the city of how we can manage our network, how we can look at our street networks, everything else. So um, it really varies depending on it. We also have the opportunity areas where developers will certainly take interest. So there's private development, but we also look at a key initiative of the plan is placemaking. So how can we activate spaces that have been dead for so long, whether they're some of the old quiet zone stubs where the streets used to go over the tracks, where now they're just dead end streets. How do we activate those maybe as parking lots, but maybe as pocket parks? Um, Maybe they're outdoor seating for restaurants or retail shops that could be outside during this pandemic time. So there's lots of different things that we're looking at, and it really varies on the scope of I'll just say funding, depending on what project and initiative we're looking at. The other thing that I do like about the plan is that Stantec, which I should mention, Stantec was the consultant group that we hired. They're a worldwide firm, but they do have a Fargo Moorhead presence, and their corporate office is in Minneapolis, which we partnered with. They also had sub-consultants that we were very adamant to have local sub-consultants. So the Kilbourne Group, we had Folkways, we had Land Elements. Now they now have a different name, but we had local subs that understood our marketplace to be able to really kind of understand how we can make this a feasible plan for years to come.
Eric, it does sound like this plan is, there are certain aspects of this plan that are fairly concrete, but it does sound like there is a lot of liquidity here so that changes can be made based on the input from the citizens and from your business and, public and private partners. Is that really what I'm hearing?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think any good community and any strong community that's growing has to be flexible. This is a working document. Yes, we have initiatives and yes, we have goals, but who could have ever expected the effects of this pandemic, right? You have to be able to be flexible with the changing of times, and that sometimes even relates to how we build our roadway network. For example, so we have Center Avenue, which a number of years back we were looking at doing a major renovation on. Some funding gaps came up where we weren't able to kind of do it, but we took the initiative to paint, put paint on the ground that shows that 3-lane road section, 1 lane in each direction, create that more urban kind of feel to our downtown. And then we can look to have projects in the future that are more concrete. So we have to create flexible environments where businesses feel comfortable in, residents feel comfortable in, and you have to create an environment where you have some experimentation. People have to be able to try things. There's this urban tactism where you got people trying to make pop-up shops, on the streets, or you take parking lots and you do different things with the urban gardens, you name it. There's a whole bunch of different things that we can kind of get into that creates an energy and a feel to an area that's not so rigid and defined.
Mm-hmm. Derek, I know we touched on the 11th Street bonding passage at the state of Minnesota, and I know that from what I understand, that's the largest Moorhead-based bonding bill that has ever come up. So can you touch on the importance of that particular project and how that's going to work with the DMI plan?
Yeah, 100%. So the 11th Street project was always a part of our scope for the downtown plan. We knew that the city was working towards trying to get that funded. But in early conversations when I first started, obviously the trains is the biggest thing. Moorhead has its challenges, no doubt about it. All cities do. But the close proximity of the railroad tracks is a real big one. We're not going to deny that. We know there's challenges through the corridor with it. And we knew that the second underpass at 11th Street was a major priority to keep not only our vehicle mobility going, but for fire and public safety aspects of it, and also just straight up connectivity between North and South Moorhead too. You have to create some flow where you're not stopping at tracks for extended periods of time. So we felt that it was important to always have that a part of it. Now, where this plan comes into play is, well, first off, I should say we're very thankful that it got funded right towards the ending of this plan, right? So you, again, talk about flexibility. You never know when things are going to happen, but ultimately special session came about, and here's a bonding bill in front of us. So our biggest takeaway from this plan was making sure if and when the underpass is built, it's designed in a way that it doesn't just disconnect our downtown completely. You know, it doesn't take Junkyard on the eastern edge and completely separates it from the Moorhead Center Mall. We have to still create connectivity with design elements. You know, sometimes that can be a challenge with, you know, a large kind of underpass that's being placed in this segment. But there's ways to visually have this be less impactful. Maybe there's public art components. Maybe there's land accommodations that we can still create parcels for redevelopment. So there's lots of different elements that this plan looked at. The beauty of Stantec being a worldwide company, and we had David Dixon, who's a world-renowned urban places leader, I'll just say. He has experiences that none of us have. He's been damn near everywhere in North America. So he's seen underpasses like this be built in downtown areas, and he's been able to provide context and elements of design that we should definitely take forward in the final creation of this. Now, everybody talks about timing. You know, when is the underpass going to happen? Certainly, there's a lot of acquisition that needs to happen. There's a lot of conversations with landowners and business owners. There's a lot of funding steps that still need to come into place. So this is still, you know, a number of years out. But the fact that we have funding in place and some commitments from the state really keeps this clock moving, and we're getting closer to it.
Eric, I guess the next question I would have for you is, so what's the next phase? Is it the approval through the city? And if that's the case, well, I guess why don't you lead us through that?
Absolutely. So we're in the midst of, obviously just got the final plan. We've done a preliminary kind of preview for some of our technical groups. The city council has seen a preview. The Downtown Moorhead Inc. Group has as well. And we are seeking approvals from the EDA, the Downtown Moorhead Inc. Board. And then on Monday, December 14th, the city council will ultimately, hopefully, make a recommendation to approve and adopt this plan. So, you know, some people may say, well, what does that mean, right? Well, if you approve and adopt a plan, what does it truly mean? Well, it really just puts a blessing that, hey, we did it, right? We did this plan. We put it on paper, but it just starts the process of how we start to accomplish some of the tasks outlined in the plan. So there's initiatives, whether that's, again, the development opportunities, the roadway networks, the placemaking, and also just looking at little things like changes to our zoning code, changes to our incentives. There's a lot of aspects of this that we're going to be diving into over a period of time. Again, some are short-term, some are long-term. But this approval is just one way to basically formalize that, you know what, this is a process that we stand by. We've heard from our constituents as the residents and as the business owners in this community that this is what they want to see and ultimately strive for. And the real work begins.
Sure. All right, Derek, I think we're going to wrap up here with one final question for you. And so we've got the plan in place. We've got the approval through the city. Now it comes to the implementation. So with the implementation and management of this particular plan, is that going to fall on Downtown Moorhead Inc. or how does that process work?
Yeah, so we can look to partnerships with the city. We can look with partnerships with the Chamber of Commerce, the Moorhead Business Association, the arts organizations in town, the business community, truly the heart of our community. And there's different tasks that we can align on. We've also been talking about strategies of creating a kind of a uniform implementation task force. So having maybe representation from each of those entities to kind of convene on maybe a quarterly basis, just to make sure we're on track with stuff, we're getting things done. Because the last thing we want to do, and this is going to sound cliche, is you finish a plan, 15 months of really, really intense work, and it sits there. Nothing's done, right? We want to put this to action. That's the intent of these plans. So continual conversations with our members, our investors, the stakeholders that really can get this done. is really where we're leading towards first. So again, getting the approvals is necessary. The real work begins by getting the people together that can get it done. Because I've always said it all along in this planning process, I can have the grandest of visions as a leader of Downtown Moorhead Inc. But I'm just one person, right? Our board's just one entity. To get a movement like this to really redevelop and bring downtown Moorhead back to life, it takes a lot of people working together. It takes a lot of trust. It takes a lot of partnerships, and that's how we've gotten this small success so far, and there's more to come.
Good. Derek, okay, I lied. That wasn't my last question. Here's the last question. So if people are interested in following Downtown Moorhead Inc. and the process and what is in the planning phases, is there a website that they can go to? Look at this. Look at me just toss up a softball here for you.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually just thinking about that. So yes, if folks are interested in it and find more information, you can go to our Downtown Moorhead Inc. webpage, which is www.dt, like downtownmoorhead.org. So dtmoorhead.org. There's a link on there that says Downtown Master Plan. You click on that, you'll be able to see the process. We put a lot of the public engagement summaries on there. There's endless amounts of material for you to sift through, but we're going to make it very clear where people can see the plan itself, which is very short in itself. It's about 54 pages, 55 pages. We do have a plan summary, which is just a one-page document. And we also recorded a presentation that Stantec did too. That's about 30 to 45 minutes that we're going to be broadcasting out there as well for the public to see from the folks that put this plan together, what it's all about and what it means to them.
Well, Derek, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. These are exciting times for our entire region, but boy, I can't wait to see what happens in downtown Moorhead. So, Derek, on behalf of the Fargo-Moorhead, West Fargo Chamber, and especially Moorhead today, we want to thank you and Downtown Moorhead Inc. for all the work that you've done in promoting our business climate and our businesses all over the region. So congratulations, best of luck, and I can't wait to check in with you to see where this process goes and updates that you can give us on a regular basis.
Absolutely. Well, thank you to the Chamber, and thank you, Darren, for having me on, and look forward to talking to folks about this and really promoting it because it's great work and we're glad to share it.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, Derek, and we'll look forward to seeing you again very soon.